Welcome, everybody, to the Sheridan Report on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The Sheridan Report is brought to you by Bet Now.eu. You can go to Bet Now.eu, use the promo code TRUTH50 to get a 50% cashback bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, Bobby Sheridan.
Mike Goodpaster, how are you doing on a Friday? Everything going good?
It's all right. It'll be doing better once you give everybody a bunch of winners in Major League Baseball. Then we'll talk a little Montreal Alouettes at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and then we're going to have a little discussion on the merits of interleague baseball and whether it's good or bad for the game.
I love it, Mike. I love it. That's a good topic and a lighter topic. I've been getting too upset about the analytics and the PEDs, so I need to talk about other things in baseball, and that's one I will enjoy to talk about. So that sounds good. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, Mike. Well, you know what? We've hit 6 in a row the last 2 days with our 3-team mix and match, and we're going to try to make it 9. And I always think, but I'm, really feeling good about our ability to do that today. We have a parlay that pays $457 now. I just plugged it in for $100, pays $457. Yesterday when I plugged it in, I thought it was ironic. It paid $444, and the night before, which was yesterday's games, night before, when I do it always early a day, paid $333. So I like that karma. I think we're going to hit this one, Mike. And the whole thought process here, we got 3 favorites, of course, mix and match parlay, put them together, place them with the top play, place them with something that you might like as a listener. These are averaging, hitting about 2 out of 3, right in the 67% range for the whole year. But we're starting to put some 3-teamers together now that are all clicking. And the idea tonight is to get to the Giants. They're going to close it out at 7:15, a late game. Giants with their rookie Sean Anderson on the mound, opposing Merrill Kelly. And, they're both minus 105. So either side, this is a pick 'em in baseball, when both sides are minus 105. And to make Merrill Kelly a favorite on the road within the division, that's tough for me to buy if you're trying to sell me on Arizona. And, he's faced them twice this year, Mike, but he's faced them both times at home. And the road team has had very good success this year in this series. The home team is only 2-8. Which is a little bit screwy, but with Kelly facing them both and having pretty good success against the Giants, I think he's going to find the sledding a little tougher tonight at San Francisco. This will be his first career start at Oracle Park, and I believe he's going to struggle. I do. San Francisco's Sean Anderson, the rookie, has been very consistent. You're going to get 6 innings, 3 earned. And so basically after 6 and going into the 7th, he's going to have given up 2-3 runs. And what can the Giants do against Kelly to get to their bullpen with the lead? And I think that they can put a number on him tonight. So that's what we're trying to do, is get there. If you don't get there, we can always straight bet the Giants later. Okay, so we're trying to get there. What did we choose? We chose the Nationals at minus 150. That's a 410 start. And we chose the Phillies minus 140, also at 410. These are teams that are playing well in the National League East. They're trying to stay in the buying range at the All-Star, not the All-Star, but the trading deadline. And these are games that they have to win, being at Miami and being at Detroit, which are 2 of the league's worst teams. So I believe they will. Both offenses are clicking well. So to me, Mike, let's take those 2 favorites, try to get to San Francisco. So there's your 3-team mix and match. Now we go to a straight play, and I want to go straight to the top play. I'm excited about this, Mike, and it's your Reds. And we've talked a lot about Cincinnati the last week or 10 days. We anticipated a run, and we caught it. Made some money on them. Then all of a sudden they lose 4 in a row. Just kind of, they got right there to the cusp of 500. We needed 2 more wins to get to 500. Then it's a brand new season, and they lost 4 in a row. 2 of them were in interleague at Anaheim, where they were shut down 5-1, 5-1. So the bottom line is, okay, that great run differential we talked about, which is 3rd in the National League, which is now they're down to 4th something like that. Maybe fifth, but it's really close. 3, 4, and 5 is very close. So we're going into a series now in the National League Central where you can throw numbers and stats and all that out the window for Cincinnati right now. Tonight's game, this series. They have to win this series, Mike. This is a very, very big series for the Cincinnati Reds. And I don't care that Cole Hamels has been dominant. He's pitched well, and it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if they're facing Babe Ruth tonight on the mound and at the plate. The Cincinnati Reds will be ready to win this ball game tonight. They have to. They have to be ready to win this series against a rival, and they have to take care of these next 9 out of 10 games before the All-Star break and be in position. And I believe they will. This team's got good starting pitching. They got a good bullpen. They've got some power. They're swinging the bats better now, and they play well at home. And I think they're going to show that tonight behind Sonny Gray. You're getting a nice plus 116. It's a great line. Home dogs have been clicking well in MLB, and we're going to go with it. Cincinnati tonight, Mike, is my top play and my best bet on the website. I really like them. Now, another thing to mention about that game, the Reds had a day off yesterday to come travel back home, get ready for this ball game in this 9-game stretch here. And the Chicago Cubs just had to deal with the Atlanta Braves for 4 games. And every one of those games was highly emotional. Cubs are a bit of an emotional team with 2 of their 3 stars are emotional players, and it's really emotional. And that's one of the reasons I don't really care for them. But I really do like other pieces of their team, the Rizzos, and now they just got Kimbrel and Bryant and Hayward. Those are all guys I like. And I don't like the Baezes and the Contrerases. Well, anyways, the Cubs and the Braves just played a knockdown, drag-out 4-game series. And I believe Chicago's going to feel the effects of that tonight, not be quite so ready. So I love the Reds, okay? We've got 2 other little side plays. I'll give you the whole card because we haven't been on all week. We've got 2 other side plays, and that's the Pirates and the Rockies. Okay, don't be surprised with the Rockies. I'm looking to bet against the Dodgers. If we can bet against them now, obviously, when they're on the road and a big favorite. Senzatellis pitched well for Colorado, okay, and minus 193 in arena baseball. Okay, all these games at Colorado are arena baseball. So anything can happen. Okay, there's going to be 7 home runs tonight. Who's going to hit most of them? The Dodgers hit most of them last night. Maybe Colorado can hit most of them tonight. I don't know. But I know plus 182 I like. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, Chris Archer against Chacin. And basically this is a fade against Milwaukee, who has struggled so much to the point to where they're not even, a favorite in my mind or anybody's mind at this point to win that division or get to the World Series, which is what their aspirations are. They haven't gotten the pitching, and they're facing a pretty solid team with Pittsburgh, who's hanging around. It's kind of like the Reds. So they're plus 145, and that's a 5-10 start. There's 6 winners for you, Mike. We swept the card on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. We've made money 11 out of the last 15 days. So tonight, let's keep it rolling.
All right, Bobby. Now we've got the Canadian Football League, which has what looks to be a mismatch tonight, as we have the Montreal Alouettes traveling to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Ticats have been 2-0, kind of broken away from the pack with the Red Blacks in the East. They will be heavy favorites tonight. Last time I saw, they were 13-point favorites entering Friday night's game with the Alouettes, who are 0-1. They're 0-1, but they did play Edmonton tough the first week, only lost by a touchdown. So, I mean, really, when you look at this, talent-wise, these teams are on completely different levels, and Hamilton is a much better team than Montreal. Montreal's starting quarterback, Antonio Pipkin, will be out tonight. Vernon Adams Jr. will get the start for the Alouettes. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing because I'm not sold that Pipkin's that good. Not sold Vernon Adams is either, but Adams did play well, a mop-up role last week for him. So when you pick this game, you got Jeremiah Masoli for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The offense is red hot, and Montreal gave up 600-plus yards in Edmonton in Week 1. Even with that being said, I think it might be a closer game than what people think. I hate to do this, but I think I'd give the 13 points and take Hamilton at home. I think by closer than what people think. I think that this is a game where I think Hamilton will pull away in the fourth quarter. I think the game will be relatively close in the 7 to 13 point margin until you get to the fourth quarter. But I think Hamilton wins this game 35, 45, 23.
Okay, so that would be 68. That would be an over. The total was 57.5.
Yeah, I would go with the over in this game because I think either way, I mean, if you bet the over and you bet Hamilton and give the points, I think you'll at least split this if something bad happens because I think Hamilton's going to be able to put points on the board. They're going to be in the 30s. And if Montreal is to stay close in this game, they're going to have to score some points also. So I would go Hamilton. I hate to give the points. I normally wouldn't do that, but I just, from what I saw of Montreal, I don't think they can hang in here. I think Hamilton's going to score at least in the 30s. I don't think Montreal can.
That's interesting, Mike, and that's a line that's, I mean, shoot, I'm looking at the lines the rest of the week. Hamilton 12.5 tonight, Calgary 10.5 tomorrow, and Monday Saskatchewan 10.5.
As a teaser, y'all want to listen to tomorrow because there could be an upset coming.
Okay, Mike, I love it. So I'll save my money for tomorrow. But you did mention one thing. Montreal's quarterback, you said, in relief played fairly well in a blowout loss. But now he's starting, and he's had all week to prepare as a starter.
He's a guy that has started before, and he has failed. But it's because the Alouettes have been terrible the last couple of years. I don't know if it's so much that he sucks or the team sucks. So, yeah, I don't expect much from him. I think he'll be able to keep him in the game for about a half, and then I think Hamilton's just got too much for him. But I would definitely really consider taking the over because I expect Hamilton to be around 40 points, and the line's 58. So it wouldn't take much for Montreal to put you over there.
Right. Good call. Where do you find these games if we wanted to check that out? What channels are these on?
ESPN. Some of the games are on ESPN, some on ESPN2. If you can't find any of them there, the ESPN app, it used to be called ESPN3, I think. But the ESPN app that you can get on Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, you can get it on the computer. So if you go to the computer and you go to the ESPN website, you can watch the games.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to pay for that. It's not ESPN Plus or anything.
No, it's not ESPN Plus.
Good.
I think it's just regular ESPN.
Okay, good. All right, Mike. That sounds good.
All right. So real quick, we're going to check out a word from our sponsor, Bet Now.eu. We'll be right back to talk a little interleague baseball right after this.
Make sure if you enjoy betting on baseball to go check out BetNow.eu's Grand Slam contest. A weekly winner will receive $5,000 in cash, and there will be 5 consolation prizes given out to the top 5 finishers. Make sure you go to BetNow.eu and use the promo code TRUTH50 to get a 50% cashback bonus on your first deposit.
All right, guys, we're back on the Sheridan Report, brought to you by BetNow.eu. Make sure you use the promo code TRUTH50 when you go to the website, or you can click on the banner at the top of our page. I'm Mike Goodpasture with Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. And, Bobby, we're going to talk a little interleague baseball, whether it's good or bad right now.
Sounds good to me, Mike.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I thought you were going to lead me in a direction.
No, I'm not leading you in any direction. I'm just going to let you just kind of float around in the wind, and we'll see where you land.
Well, I'll float around. I mean, to me, when they came up with this, and I've been no research on this, Mike. I've looked up nothing. Okay, it was just my thoughts basically coming out on the air. When I think it was the late '90s when interleague play came out. And I'm guessing, but I think that's right around there. So we looked at about 20 years, and I just remember I'm 50 years old, so I remember I'm about 30 years old, and when it first came out, I loved it because, the Yankees and the Mets, the Dodgers and the Angels, you got to see matchups that it was exciting. It was fun. I like fun. I like scheduling. I like being able to play teams that you normally wouldn't ever see and to have some of the matchups, but the novelty definitely has worn off. There's no doubt about that. I don't know that, in fact, there used to be a 2 or 3 week window in the season where that was interleague section. And that's how they did it. And I like that because, the next 2 weeks, okay, it's just interleague play. It was fun. Okay, then it was over with. Well, then they've gone to what's come into now, and it's developed into where it's all year. I mean, there's 2, 3, 4 interleague matchups most every week. I'm not going to say every week, but most every week. And I think there's only one this week, or maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know. Last week I think there was 3. This week maybe 1. But anyways, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much all year. You can find one of these, and like I said, the novelty may have worn off. But this is a kind of the thing in baseball. You want to make these changes, that's great. Scheduling type stuff, I'm fine with. Stuff that the fans would like to see, I'm fine with. It's not. I think the novelty, not the novelty, the difference in rules. With the DH, I think is my first thoughts on this as a handicapper were that I was going to favor the National League, and it did initially. And the first maybe 3 or 4 years favored the National League, and why? Because the pitcher doesn't bat, and their lineup all of a sudden becomes 9 deep. Okay, they get to add a hitter, and in most cases, not Zach Greinke's case, or some of these other very good hitting pitchers now, but most pitchers are not good hitters. So the National League gets to add a hitter to where when the American League goes to the National League Park, they lose their DH, and we know that that's often one of the best hitters on the team. That's your J.D. Martinez's and your Edgar Martinez's and back in the day, and we all know who the DHs are. So to me, that favors the National League. Well, then all of a sudden we went on about a 10-year run where the American League dominated, and I think the American League was just better. It didn't matter what rules there were, what changes, and the American League was just better. So they dominated the interleague play. Well, we're kind of coming back the last year and a half or so. The National League is holding their own, and they're doing well. In fact, they're winning a better percentage of the games recently. Okay, so I'm kind of on that trend, and was bet on it the other day and got crushed. Went 1-4. The American League won 4 of the 5 matchups the other day. It was on air. I think that was Monday, our last show. So anyhow, Mike, I'm okay with it. I like the Cubs playing the White Sox. I like the Angels and Dodgers. We only used to get that. This is where I live, in an exhibition series, and none of the stars even played much in those. And now we get the stars facing each other, and I think it's fun. It's not something that I think is on the forefront of what needs to be changed right now in baseball, and everybody that follows me knows what I think those things are. So I'm saying stay with it. I will say this is my last take. I do believe that in the stuff that's going to come down the pike here in the next year or 2, there are going to be some significant changes in baseball. I do believe that we'll have a universal rule of a DH. So I think both leagues will be the same, and I think it'll be the DH. We'll have a DH, and that'll take that part out of the interleague. But I don't think interleague is going anywhere. I think we're going to have it. We're going to keep it.
It's obviously not going anywhere because it's been here. I think it was like a year or 2 after they started the divisional playoff thing. So I think it had been like 97 or 98.
Okay.
I think it was 97. I think it's stupid.
What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I just think it's stupid. I think it detracts from the World Series. The World Series isn't as special as it used to be. I remember growing up, all the debates in the 70s and the 80s, were what league was better. And nobody really knew. And the only time you got to see that was in the World Series. And I'll tell you this also. I think that it made the All-Star game better. Because the only time you got to see the American League compete with the National League was in the World Series and the All-Star game. I think it's detracted from both of them. I'm also a person that's still upset that the Milwaukee Brewers are now in the National League. I don't want to watch the Brewers and Yankees in the World Series. I saw the Yankees and the Brewers play in National League Divisional or American League Divisional playoffs in 1981. I don't want to see that.
Right.
During the regular season, the Cardinals and Brewers play a ton of times. To me, the Cardinals and Brewers is 1982. I know I live in the past, but I just think there's something cool about everybody getting debate all year long who's better, the American League or the National League, and you never, ever really know. And then you get the World Series and you get a glimpse. And I think that the glimpse would be this: 1990. The Oakland A's were considered to be the runaway world champions probably by the midway point of the season. They had Bob Welch, who that year won like 27 games, something absurd. They had like three guys that were right around 20 wins with him. And the thing was, when you go to the playoffs in 90, they sweep the Red Sox. The Reds play the Pirates. That's the Pirates with Barry Bonds before he started juicing. Andy Van Slyke, I think, was on that team. The Reds had Paul O'Neill, Eric Davis. You had the Nasty Boys, Jose Rio. But the Reds went life or death in a great six-game series with the Pirates. They go to the World Series, and I hate to tell people this, but if you watch that, it was only an upset in the minds of people that didn't know what they were watching during the season. Because the Reds had better starting pitching. They had better relief pitching. And when you look at the lineups, what you had with that A's team, if it wasn't for Ricky Henderson, you would have had a team that played similar to the way teams play today. But they had Ricky Henderson,
Right.
Carney Lansford, who was a great guy at sacrificing guys over. But the Reds won that series rather easily. I mean, Game 1 was 7-1 or 7-0. Game 2 was extra innings. That was a close one. Game 3, though, the Reds go out there with Tom Browning, who's their number 3 starter, against Bob Welch, who won 27 games. Chris Sabo hits 2 home runs, and the Reds beat him 8-3. Game 4, Jose Rio shuts them down again with, I think, the help of Randy Myers, and they sweep the series. So I think that there's a lot more intrigue when you have no clue how they match up. Because when you look back at it, and you look at the fact that the A's played the playoffs against a Red Sox team that was not very good. I mean, that was a Red Sox team. I think Tony Armas, who used to be an Oakland A, especially on that Billy Martin Billy Ball team in the early 80s, I think he was like the cleanup hitter for the 90 Red Sox, and he batted like 230. And it's not 230 like today where he had 450 home runs. He was like 230 with like 21 home runs and 60 RBIs. So the competition in the National League was much better. And I know they blew out the Giants in 89, but you look at the same thing in 1988. That Dodgers team, I think, is still to this day is underrated because I think the best team in baseball that year was the New York Mets. They upset the Mets in 7 games, and then they came out and disposed of the A's in 5. And if you look at it in the 80s, I don't think there was much doubt, 70s and 80s, that usually the National League was stronger because they had better pitching. I also think with the DH, it changes everything. It changes the stats. You know, we talk about Bill James, and he used to have that baseball abstract or whatever it was that broke down the numbers. But how can you compare to any numbers anymore from after 1970 to before 1970? Because really, it even changes, I mean, the way a number 8 hitter was pitched to. You know? He's pitched to differently because there's a DH in now. You got a regular player behind you. You're not pitching around him, walking him. I just think it skews everything. I think baseball needs to go back to the way it was. I think they need to test for steroids to actually catch people. And when they catch them, they should ban them for life. You know, the first time you ban one for life, the rest of them are going to take it a hell of a lot more seriously. So I think we need to get back to the game being the way it's supposed to be played. And that's not a pitching change every batter in the 7th inning. I mean, go play the game. The American League's on this side. The National League's on this side. I mean, put it like this. If you had that in football, I think the Super Bowl would be bigger. If those teams never played each other, you never crossed over, you get a general idea during the season which conference is tougher. If you know what I mean, just by all the interconference matchups. I just like the intrigue of these teams don't play each other. They know next to nothing about each other. You know, those analytic guys are going to have to work overtime then.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, the baseball was the last sport that got to hold on to that, too, because, you know, basketball crossed over. You know, the Celtics played the Lakers twice a year in the Magic and Bird days. Well, every year. But, I mean, it was fun back then to It is fun though.
Yeah, but
Boston
put
will
it
come
like
into
this.
LA and
Put it like this, though. The thing is, yeah, it was fun when Magic and Bird played twice a year, but was it really that big a deal to watch Bird play against the Sacramento Kings?
no.
So, I mean, it's
No.
cool in some instances, but how cool would it have been if Bird Magic didn't play unless it was the championships?
Well, yeah. Wow, that would be the build up for that would have been even greater. Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, there's no doubt I see what you're saying. And well, remember even that there used to be National League ump and American League ump.
Yeah.
Those were completely separate leagues. National League has this strike zone. American League had that strike zone. You know, there was it was a different game within the game. It really was. And now it's just all universal. You know, that's what's come of it. And I'm okay with it, you know, just because I think there's bigger fish to fry, you know, especially now with what's going on. We've got a big problem right now on our hands because PEDs, you can't test them. They're, you know, these guys in the programs and the resumes are far advanced above the testing. And then you got the analytics, which have changed the way the game's played. And, you know, these guys are too big and strong and their bat speed is too good, it's just it's arena baseball now, and it's really hurt the game a lot. And I don't know what the answers are. I've proposed some things that I think are the answers, but you know, we're definitely going to have some changes though. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but usually change anymore is not a good thing. They just change stuff and screw it up worse.
Well, I know. And when they're talking about moving the mound back to 62 or something,
and that,
you know,
once again, it changes everything that is, as Lucas would say, romantic about baseball has been done away with.
Yes, I agree.
You know, I mean, the starting pitcher, if he goes into the sixth inning now, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, the strategy and how you score runs is completely, you know, no one attempts steals anymore. No one attempts a hit and run. You hardly ever see bunts. It's almost taboo even in the ninth inning now to bunt, or, you know, you're scrutinized, you know, because it's just hit a home run. And if you're bunting, you're taking the guy's chance to hit a home run away. You know, we can't hit it into the analytical shift, so we're going to hit it out of the ballpark. We're going to hit it over everybody. And let's get the 0-2 swing is no different than a 2-0 swing. You know,
could you imagine an analytical shift against guys like Ted Williams or Willie Mays or any of these guys? You put a shift on, they're just going to hit it the other way because they were great hitters. We don't have great hitters anymore.
Oh, no, we don't. These hitters suck. They're terrible. They're terrible. You know,
yeah, I remember, let's see.
240, 250, but they're God's gift to everything because they hit it 495 feet, and then they strut around like they're the best thing ever. They're doing it with a wiffle ball bat in their hands because they're on steroids.
Well, I remember this. 1976, I remember, it was 76 or 77. Bill Madlock, Ken Griffey Sr. had basically competing for the batting title. And I think Madlock ended up winning it, hitting like 337. Griffey hit 336. Pete Rose hit 323 and was like eighth in the league. And Joe Morgan batted 320 and was 11th in the league. Now, I think last year, from what I saw, there was barely 10 guys in each league that batted over 300 even.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there were 18 players total. I read, I think last year.
Over 300?
They batted over 300, yeah.
Yeah, and there was 12 in 1976 in the National League that hit over 320.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, and that's why now anymore we cannot cross-compare any stats for this baseball. You know, you've seen some of these home runs. Yeah, I posted this. I don't have a lot of followers for Twitter, and sometimes I get more play because you'll tweet it on The Grueling Truth, which has a pretty good amount of followers, and sometimes I'll get something that reaches the masses, but a lot of my stuff goes unreally seen. But so I will say I captured a SoundCloud little audio clip of Charlie Steiner's Dodger call. I'm not a Charlie Steiner fan, but it was funny because the game-winning home run last Sunday, so 5 days ago, was by a rookie named Will Smith for the Dodgers. It beat me, but I wasn't overreacting because of that. I would have said the same thing, would have tweeted the same thing. His response was, and a pop-up to center field, as if the ninth inning was going to be over and we got to go. It was 2 outs in the ninth. And it's going back, and it's gone. Then he went, he had to do what he had to do. This is a guy that's broadcast. He's 65 years old, I think.
Yeah.
He's been doing Yankee games and Dodger games he's broadcast over probably a couple thousand games. Pop up to center field. I mean, come on. There's been just how many examples of those this year, and it's just not fun to watch. It's just a shitty game, but it's all relative. The 99s and the 98s and the 100s, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean these hitters are better because they can turn those around. They're swinging wiffle ball bats. You know how easy that is? That's easy to do. That's not hard to do. So, it's not a hard game to play, as hard a game, to play, to do those things. The game is harder mentally and defensively and to hit the ball the other way and, to lay a great sacrifice bunt down. And how about the great defensive plays? We see less of those now because a lot of these guys are even out of position, because of the shifts. And I there's a reason why you put the shortstop where the shortstop's supposed to play, because he can cover third base on a bunt that goes down the third base line. Well, now there is no bunt anymore, so I guess he doesn't have to be there to cover third. It's just all the ways to score are taken away. Starting pitchers aren't even allowed to go beyond 6 innings or 7 innings hardly ever anymore. You don't get any of those kind of duels. It turns into my bullpen who's available. I carry 9 bullpen guys, so whichever 3 haven't pitched 2 straight nights, they're eligible tonight. It comes down to 3 or 4 of those guys against 3 or 4 of your guys, and you don't even know what you're going to get. It's a whole other game. It's just a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Yesterday's game, Mike, it was 1-0. Nola was on the mound yesterday, and he had a 1-0 lead going into the ninth. And Phillies closer gave up the lead 3-1. And then their closer gave up the lead. It was the Mets, Diaz. He gave up 5 or 6 in the bottom of the ninth, and there was 1 run scored through 8 and 8 in the ninth, and it wound up going over 8.5. So they overhit on a game that was 1-0 in the ninth, with 2 great starting pitchers dueling, and that's how it turned out.
But there's a lot of pissed off bettors there.
Well, yeah, but anything can happen. Is what the point is, and so it's, I don't know, and to see that ninth inning, it's 4 hours later. It's 7 o'clock game is now 11 o'clock if you want to stay around and watch that night, and that's on my time. For you, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a guy that's up late. You love sports.
There's been a lot. I remember many a years listening to Marty and Joe in the middle of July at Dodger Stadium. And the thing is this, the games used to start at like 10 or 10:15 at Dodger Stadium.
Yes.
They were normally over by 1 o'clock. Now, if the game's starting at 10:15 or 10:30, you're going to be up till at least 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And if it goes extra innings, it's going to be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. Well, how about that World Series game last year at Dodger Stadium?
Oh,
that thing.
Innings. Think if that would have started at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I think it started at 5. So think if it started at, which would be 8 your time. Think if it started at 10. Yeah, well, anyway, so, and like Iannetta, he put it the way when he said this quote, and it really stuck with me. Right now, these pitchers are trying to strike out 3 before they can give up 4 walks, because they're nibbling, because you leave it out over the plate. But the way these guys are right now, it's 440 feet, and it's a home run. So, Mike, I don't know. But anyhow, I appreciated your CFL talk. I appreciated your thoughts in interleague. I could definitely would love to see it go back, but it's not going back. But yeah, the Celtics against the Lakers. Wouldn't that be something if Magic played Bird only?
And right now, Celtics against the Lakers. I believe it'll be at 9 o'clock on the Grilling Truth Facebook page tonight. Game 7, Celtics-Lakers. Complete original broadcast. So make sure y'all go to the Facebook page and check it out.
What year, Mike? Was it playoff?
1984, Game 7.
Oh, wow. Original broadcast. And who was on that? Was it Musburger? Or
yeah, Musburger and Tommy
CBS?
Heinsohn.
Oh, man.
On CBS. So you can check it out tonight. Go ahead.
How about those days when Tommy Heinsohn was doing the broadcast of his team? I mean, that's his team, the Celtics in the finals. That's pretty.
Yeah, you could tell
that was funny.
You could tell it was his team too.
No
but
doubt.
I want to remind everybody too, since we haven't been on in a couple days, the handicapping guide. Make sure you check out Phil Rankin there with all your horse racing needs. If you want to bet the horses, make sure you check out Phil. Also, check out Bobby at Sheridan Report, plus the SheridanReport.com. We will be back tomorrow, and we will talk a little CFL, Major League Baseball, maybe a little boxing, too. We got a few big fights tomorrow night, so make sure you check us out there. I think that's about
Saturdays
it, Bobby.
are my favorite show, Mike. Saturdays are my favorite show. I don't know why. I guess because everyone's off, and it's a non-work day, and it's just, it's the weekend. It just feels cooler. We got boxing, that night, and I always appreciate listening to, what fights are coming on, and it's going to be really fun, Mike, when we get into college football.
Hey, right now, what are the odds on BC beating Calgary tomorrow?
BC beating Calgary, it was 10.5. Calgary was favored, but now you're talking about money line?
What's the money line?
Let me see if they got that posted. I just had this up a second ago. And let me pull it up again. It'll take me probably 10 seconds. I know 10.5 was the line, and the money line, Calgary is minus 475 to win 100, but BC would be plus 380. So 100 would get you back 480, 380 plus your 100 back.
Yep.
Almost 4 to 1.
I would heavily consider that, and everybody will tell you're nuts for doing it. But tomorrow,
let's figure out why. I'd love to hear why tomorrow.
Tomorrow, we'll come back and we'll see if we're nuts enough to do it. So make sure you check us out tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on the Grilling Truth Sports Network. So we're going to wrap it up. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find the Grilling Truth. So for Bobby Sheridan, I'm Mike Goodpastor. You've been listening to the Grilling Truth, where the legends speak.